Now we're going to move on to polar coordinates. So in our normal Cartesian coordinates, we can specify any point on this plane. Let's say this point here. We can always specify that point by stating the x-coordinate and then by stating the y-coordinate. So any point on this line, we can always address it by stating the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate. Now we can do the same in polar coordinates. So in polar coordinates, let's say you want to specify this point here. You would specify the angle. So you can always address any particular point on the plane by using polar coordinates. So you would specify this angle here because by convention we always start with angle 0 here, with the angle 0 along this line here. So to specify this point, you would state the angle here. So in this case it's pi over 6, and then you would specify the radius. So you would specify the radius here. So from here to here is 2. From the origin to here would be 4. So the radius here is really 6. So you can specify this point by stating the angle as being. So this point will be, the angle will be pi over 6, and the radius here is really 6. So the point here will be 6 comma pi over 6. So the reason why we use polar coordinates is because there are many scenarios where polar coordinates are much more superior than Cartesian coordinates. So for example, if you want to, let's say this is the sun here. If you want to keep track of a planet, then it's easier to use polar coordinates than it is to use Cartesian. So with polar coordinates, you would specify the point by stating the radius and then by stating the angle. So by convention, we always start. So these things are called rays. So these things are called rays. And then this angle. Well, by convention, we always state that this here is theta. The angle here is 0 by convention, and then we will work our way around here like this. So to specify any point. Oh, by the way, the origin is called the pole. Okay, so we can always specify any particular point on this plane by stating the angle. Let's say this angle here is pi over 6. Let's say this angle here is pi is pi over 6. So this point here, and let's just say the radius here is, let's just say 7. So this point here, the way you would specify that point would be state the radius first, 7 comma pi over 6, and then suppose it's let's say suppose it's you want to specify this point here, then the angle here. Hang on, let's say you want to specify this point. So you would have to state the angle. So in this case, the angle here, let's just make it up. Let's just say the angle is 5 pi over 6, and then you would need to specify the distance from the pole to wherever this is. Let's just make it up. Let's say it's 10. So this particular point here will be 10 comma, and then the angle from here to here, which will be 5 pi over 6. And then let's say you want to specify this point here. Oops, hang on. Let's say you want to specify this point here. Hang on. Let's say you want to specify this point here. So to specify this point here, you would have to state the angle from here all the way around here. So let's say the angle there would be, let's just say it would be 7 pi over 6, and then you would need to specify the distance from the pole to here. Let's just say it's 7. So this point here can be written as 7 pi over 6. Or another way of doing it would be to use this angle here. So another way of specifying this point would be to use this angle here. So that would be so from here to here, let's just say it's 5 pi over 6, and then instead of, well, so this angle here is 5 pi over 6. But instead of saying 7, positive 7 will take us here. If you want to specify it, oops, bear with me, hang on, bear with me. So if you want to specify this point here, you can state this angle here, which is this bit here. But instead of positive 7, you can say negative 7. That will then go in this direction. So this point here can be written as this, or it can be written as this, where you state this as being negative 7. Okay, so the point here is that you normally specify the radius, but the radius can be a negative radius, if that makes sense. It can be a negative radius, so it take you to over here somewhere. Okay.